Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Katawa Shoujo Part 14. And today we resume our conversation with Hanako and Lilly at the Shanghai. Let's press on, peoples. I end up just sitting back and closing my eyes, relaxing as best I can. It's nice and peaceful here. I wonder what it'd be like to have grown up somewhere like this rather than in the city. You come from the city? Looks like I found something she wants to talk about. Yeah, you could say I was a city kid through and through. It sounds like a lot changed. It did. I'm still not quite sure what to make of it all, though. It's a bit of a culture shock in more ways than one. You must have gone through something like this when you first arrived at Yamaku, right? I'd imagine most new students would. Not really. Hanako gazes a little to the side, looking unwilling to go on. I tilt my head inquisitively, but a couple of seconds pass with no further answer. But can't we deal with that on Monday? The fallout is hardly settled from the last. I understand. I'll try to talk her down. You know what she's like when she gets locked onto an idea. Yes, thank you. I'll talk to you later then. Goodbye. Lily's conversation ends with the snap of her phone closing. She returns to our table but doesn't take her seat. Need to go? Unfortunately, class representative work calls once again. I can come with you. It's alright, Hanako. I'll just be going straight to the student council. There's no need to spoil a fine evening on my account. Besides, if you were to accompany me on my way back to the school, who would keep our poor Hisao company? Okay. I could join you for tea again later tonight if you'd like. I may well need it. We agree on that plan, and Lily says her farewells to the both of us, taking her cane after Hanako passes it to her. Despite my offer to pay for Lily's share, she insists on giving us her portion of the bill, and gives her regards to Yuko as she takes her leave. And then, we're alone. It may be all well and good to leave Hanako and I alone to have some time together, but all it typically means is the two of us sitting near each other in silence for a while. I wonder what I must look like to Hanako. I never thought of myself as a scary person, but to have someone my own age acting this way around me makes me intensely self-aware, as if it's my fault that she's so troubled. She might get more used to people if she were to stop being so cloistered in Yamaku, but then again, when even people much older than her react so strongly after a single glance at her face, she may well feel the same way I do now. It's a real catch-22. If she stays in Yamaku, she won't get used to socializing, but if she leaves, any effort she might try would get thrown back at her by the people who can't deal with her scarring. Want to order something else to keep us going? We haven't had much of a dinner after all. Hanako brightens and nods vigorously, glad that I brought up the topic for her. I catch Yuko's gaze, and she dutifully comes over to take our orders. Would you like something else? I'll just have a sandwich special and a hot chocolate. Bit late for coffee by now. Hanako?
I'll have the same.
With a nod and a bow, Yuko turns on the ball of her foot and returns behind the counter, where she busies herself fishing out bread and condiments, and working the machine to make our drinks. Not a word is said between us until Yuko comes back. She smiles and gives us our food and drinks, before moving to a customer who's called for her attention. I give up on the prospect of having much of a conversation with my companion, and decide to just enjoy the meal, small as it may be. It tastes nice, as does most of the food here. After having a few mouthfuls, I notice something's missing, namely the sound of Hanako eating. Looking back to her, I see Hanako fidgeting a little behind her untouched sandwich. Not hungry? She shakes her head from side to side. Even as she does, the patch of hair she keeps over the right side of her face still does its job in hiding it almost entirely.
It's not that.
Aw, I was all ready to have your share too.
You looked troubled. Is something wrong?
I'm startled by her thinking that I'm the one who looks troubled, but on second thought, she's probably right. My face may have given away my emotions without me noticing, and she's hardly a dim person. Quite the opposite. We're friends, right?
Friends.
From the tone of her voice and shrinking posture, it looks as though I've hit yet another landmine. This is another reason why interacting with her is difficult. The self-imposed psychological barrier she puts up between herself and others, including me and, most likely, even Lily. It's a shame that...
I think that we are.
I'm a little taken off guard by Hanako's straightforward answer. All the more so since I was about to give up on getting any reply at all. I see.
Am I wrong? Sorry.
No, it's just hearing confirmation of that from you is reassuring. To pick up on what you said earlier, since coming to Yamaku, I've been a bit uneasy about how I should relate with others. I find myself chuckling a little. It's surprising how much of a relief that was. I can feel my face smiling as I pick up my cup of hot chocolate and bring it to my lips. Ouch! That's hot!
That's why I haven't eaten yet. I was waiting for my drink to cool down first.
I guess I'll wait then. The both of us share a little chuckle. The situation isn't really that funny, but for some reason, it feels like laughing is the most natural thing to do right now. I guess we were both a bit wound up about each other. I was so busy thinking Hanako was the one with something wrong, it took her to remind me that I was uneasy as well. But be that as it may, it still feels a little nice. A little nice to have someone thinking about me like that in her own way. Following a long, quiet trudge up the hill and into the school grounds, the two of us find ourselves between the two dormitories. Regular night patrols pass between the male and female dormitory buildings, both for security and to quickly raise the alarm for any medical issues that may arise. The guard currently on duty notices us and gives us a quick nod as he continues on his way. A loud yawn escapes from Hanako's mouth before she has a chance to cover it. I have little doubt she's fairly tired by now. I'd better be off to my room then. See you tomorrow, Hanako.
Good night.
We separate and begin to walk our separate ways before I stop and look back. Hanako stands there, waving to me as she smiles. I smile and wave back to her, and after a few seconds, she turns and walks up the stairs to her dormitory building, disappearing through the door. These little moments we share between us feel like a small treasure. One thing is sure, I want to protect that small, delicate smile she so fleetingly wears around so few people. I wonder about these feelings I have when Hanako's around, and when I'm able to do things for her, whether they may be the seed for something beyond what we share now. Do-do-do, love this music. I will keep saying that because it's true. The summertime sun is something to be savored, but when combined with the clean country air, it's all the better. The track and field club members are horsing around on the field ahead. Some are playing with the soccer ball, others are talking, and a few laugh as two of them mock fight with each other. None of them pay me any heed as I sit alone on the grass underneath the shade of a particularly large tree. It's a nice and peaceful moment after a dreary day of schoolwork. I played soccer pretty often before my heart attack, so I had thought it would be really nostalgic to watch them. What I'm feeling now, though, is quite distinct from that emotion. I hear footsteps approaching from behind me, and I turn to my side to see one of my classmates taking a seat beside me. I'm taken off guard, as the two of us haven't talked much before, and I didn't think anyone would notice me here. Sup? Hi, you're, wasn't it? Just call me Miki. Surnames are too stuffy. Likewise, then. We both look back out to the field where the guys are playing. It looks like they're getting ready to have a second game, with people spreading out to their positions and the ball being carried to the center of the field. Sure enough, the whistle is blown to begin the match and they get right back into it. Not going to play? Nah, just gonna rest for a bit. What about you? You kind of looked like you wanted to play when you were watching us before. So, someone did notice me after all. It's kind of a long story. Her face says that I picked her interest. I'm in Yamaku because I've got a heart condition. I can't really play soccer anymore. Wanted to be a soccer player, did you? No, I only really did it for fun. My friends played it, so I played it as well. Any of those guys playing around could have been me before my accident, but I don't feel like I have any real wish to go back to that either. It's a little hard to explain. I'm still decently physically built from the days when I played, even if my strength largely left me by now, and I got on well with the other club members. When I think about it, I should feel pretty bad watching people play when I can't anymore. Yet I don't. Maybe it's a good thing, a sign that I've gotten over it and that I'm ready to become a new person. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling. It's cool. I'm actually glad to hear that. It sounds like you really have your stuff together. Some of the people that come to Yamaku are pretty messed up at first. So, you're a member of the track and field club then? Yep, been in it since I first arrived. Don't suppose you're friends with Emmy? Short, fast runner, no legs? I don't think there are all that many female track and field members. Haha, Emmy. Everyone knows about her, don't they? But nah, I tend to get on better with guys, so me and Emmy don't really talk much. Anyway, what about you? Well, I'm not really in any clubs. Real clubs, anyway. You've been hanging around with Hanako and that blonde Amazon, though, right? Blonde Amazon. I suppose Lilly has the height to fit that description. If nothing else, I nod in response without making too fine a point of things. Then don't worry about it. As long as you got some friends, you don't need to join a club. A loud whistling from the field attracts our attention. One of the players is on the ground clutching his leg, and the other stopped play to jog up to him, leaving Miki grimacing. Ouch, that looks painful. That guy really has bad luck. As she continues to look out onto the field, I can't help being reminded of her own injuries. Her left arm, ending in a stump rather than a hand, has been bandaged up for the entire time I've been in Yamaku, and her injury doesn't seem that new. She turns to talk to me again and catches me looking. Both of us sit in awkward silence as she takes her bandaged arm and holds it in her lap with her other remaining hand. Sorry, I guess I'm still a bit... It's fine, really. Her tone is light, but neither of us says anything afterwards. Every disabled student here has their own way of dealing with their problems, and some finding their conditions troublesome is only natural. I'm included among them, after all. The injured guy from the soccer game manages to get onto his feet with some help, and ends up hobbling off the field with one arm over the shoulder of another for support. Probably just pulled the muscle if he could still manage to walk. The whistle blows again and the game continues once more with one last man on the field. Hanging out with Hanako and that blonde girl, you keep some pretty strange company. How so? It's just that Hanako's kind of, I don't know. Shy? No, it's not really that. It's just she's got some issues, I think. I can't really put it in a nice way. Not that I don't think she's a nice person, though. She's perfectly nice. Just hard to deal with. It sounds like Miki, or at least some other people in the class, have tried to get closer to Hanako in the past, and that it didn't go well. I think her judgment is rather harsh, given that everyone, not just those in Yamaku, have their own issues. Then again, I haven't known Hanako for that long, so it wouldn't surprise me if there was some stuff I didn't know about. I'll just take it as it comes. She's a nice person, and I think that should be all that matters. Miki's eyes narrow a little, and her smile spreads. You really like her, don't you? Miki certainly doesn't mince words. Alrighty, if we want to progress to the good ending, we have to admit our feelings. To be completely honest, yeah, I do. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone. Hey, whoa, you can trust me. No problems there. To be honest, I think it's kind of cute. If you want to go for it, don't let me stop you. Thanks. She may say that, but she was just talking about Hanako having issues. Still, I want to hold myself to the words I said. Hanako's problems don't matter. I'll deal with anything that comes up because I want to help her. If there's even the smallest possibility that I could pull Hanako out of her depression and seclusion, then I should work towards that no matter what. If she needs a prince, then I will be that prince. As I think about the possibility of a relationship, I could see Miki grinning at me while watching my face. I'm no doubt blushing, and looking away from her only makes her laugh. Miki gives off a different vibe from the other girls. Talking to her feels more like talking to a guy than a woman. Her saying she prefers male company doesn't help to dispel that notion either. Glancing at my watch shows that lunch break is ending in only a few minutes. Time to start heading back to class. Lunch is about to end. Want to head back? Yeah, we'd better. I pick myself up off the grass and dust myself off, offering a hand to Miki to help her up as well. She takes it and easily pulls herself up, showing the muscles moving in her toned bare arms in the process. Come to think of it, why aren't you wearing the normal girl's blouse? It's too hot and constricting. The boy's uniform is better anyway. She throws her arms around a bit to emphasize her point, which has the side effect of showing off one particular part of her body that would be especially constricted by the blouse. The two of us start to walk back to the main building through the gardens, talking as we go. It sounds like you're settling in well. That's a relief. It was pretty surprising to get a transfer student at this point in the year, considering the exams are coming up. Don't remind me. Don't worry about them. Just cram it and you'll be fine. That doesn't sound like good advice. She claps my shoulder a couple of times as she grins. I don't think she takes school very seriously. You seem like a smart guy, and Muto's taken to you well already. You're like a hand in a glove. Now to work out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I still don't know what to make of this school. I've been here a few weeks already, but I still feel dazed at times. You'll get used to it. Just give it some time. It's only a high school just like any other. She makes it sound so simple, but I've never thought about it that way. To me, Yamaku symbolized a marked shift in my life. I was no longer normal. I was different, and was to be educated with other different people. And yet, I'm walking back to class and talking casually with a classmate during lunch, after watching some others play a soccer game. All perfectly normal. Maybe she has a point. Maybe I should just look at Hanako in the same way. Everyone has their own issues. This is hardly something unique to Yamaku, after all. It's only a high school just like any other. As we continue to talk, I find myself smiling. Miki and I are very different people in almost every way, but it feels good to have gotten to know another classmate a bit better. And another day is done. Seems like Act 3 is just breezing by. But no, it's only just the beginning. A light breeze blows the scent of early summer around my head while I wait for Lily. Small white clouds litter the sky, breaking up the monotony of the blue.
Hisao? Are you here?
Lily's voice lits on the breeze as if they were one and the same thing. I stop gazing into the sky to examine Lily. With a peach off-the-shoulder sweater and tan ankle-length skirt in addition to tan sandals, she's quite a nice sight. Yeah, I'm over here, Lily, near the gate. Were you able to sneak away from Hanako? Yes, it's not uncommon for me to go out during weekends, so I don't think she noticed anything suspicious. That, and she has someone she sees. Lily purses her lips as if she maybe shouldn't have continued. I find it a little hard to believe. Hanako seeing someone? Really? No, it's just she sees a therapist every so often on weekends. Oh, well, that does make a lot of sense. Lily rubs her arm uncomfortably, and after one look at her troubled expression, I quickly move to change the topic away from Hanako. Huh. Yes? I was just wondering, you can get around the city on your own? Lily sighs at my consternation surrounding the topic of our blindness. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes. I can, yes. It's easier when I'm out with a friend or my sister, though. I wonder how Lily gets along with her sister. Being an only child, it's hard to imagine what having a sibling would be like, so it makes me a little envious of her. Right. Well then, the bus arrives in a few minutes, so we should probably get a move on. Indeed. It's a long wait if we miss this one. With that, we set off for the bus stop on the hill. It's only a small distance from the school gate, so it's very convenient. It's a nice view from here. Coming from the city, I never really got to see scenery like this, let alone on a daily basis. This area is nice for me as well. It's tranquil, and away from the noises and smells of the city. Lily's head perks up in a trademark gesture of hers, signifying that she's caught a sound. Oh, here comes the bus. I look down the road to see the bus trundling up the hill. Her hearing's quite a useful tool. The bus only takes a short while to reach the bus stop, forcing its way up the road, and within a minute we are on our way to the city. Walking around the city, I feel a distinct nostalgia. The smells, the traffic, the tall buildings everywhere. It's a lot like my native city, save for the raised walkways. It feels a little weird walking around a city as casually as I would in a park, but with cars rushing around underneath me. As I'm busily pondering the engineering marvel that is the raised walkway, I get a surprise. It takes a moment for me to realize that Lily has wrapped her arm around mine, extending her cane in front of her with her other hand. For a moment I'm startled, but I manage to keep enough of a lid on it for Lily not to notice. While it's not the first time that Lily's relied on me for guidance, she'd only held onto my sleeve's cuff before. It's logical that it would be easier for her to navigate a crowded and complex area such as the city, while securely linked, but I'm far from being as used to this kind of contact as Lily is. Finally realizing the growing silence between us as Lily waits for me to get moving, I quickly kick my brain into gear. You know, it was quite a surprise that Hanako likes to sing. Have you ever heard her do that before? I have indeed. We've been to karaoke sessions several times, along with my sister. I can't say I take to the activity much, but the other two like it. Maybe Hanako doing karaoke is more fitting than I initially thought. Just her and those she knows, all alone in a little room. It would give her a rare chance to let her guard down, with nobody else there to judge her. Maybe it would be nice to bring her into town for a karaoke birthday party, if she likes doing it. I'm not sure she would deal very well with the excitement. I move to protest, but her face shows that she's mulling the proposal over some more. It takes quite some time for her to come to a conclusion. Then again, the best thing we can do for Hanako at this point is to try to create some pleasant birthday memories. Continually treating her as if she's abnormal won't help. I think you're right. If she has something to remember apart from loss, then maybe she'll come around. If we bought her something nice that she could see every day, then maybe she'd be able to take her mind off her past and remember that she has friends. And in any case, I think Hanako can handle something like this. In the time I've spent beside her, I've learned that she isn't quite as frightfully fragile as I first thought she was. So, shall we be off? I'm not really sure about the layout of this area.
Very well. I might like to suggest having something to eat first.
I haven't either, so that sounds like a good plan.
Make sure you choose a nice place, Hisao.
She gives a teasing smile, one that makes me smile reflexively in response even if she can't see that. I'll make very sure I do. Don't worry about that. Once inside, I order 2 slices of pie and accompanying cups of tea and take them back to our table. I'd pegged this cafe as the type to appeal to Lily, small and quiet, but well kept and somewhat upscale. Going by the dainty smile she wears, I don't really know if I chose right. It's very, very rare to not see her smiling, after all. Nevertheless, I take a seat near her at one of the corner tables and lay down our small meals. Lily gingerly brings her head over the slice of pie placed in front of her, delicately taking in the aroma.
Lemon pie, is it? Thank you, Hisao.
No problem. The tea's just next to it, so be careful not to knock it over. She nods appreciatively, but judging from the slightly weak smile she has, the warning wasn't really necessary. I suppose the sound must have tipped her off to its position. We both tuck into our food without further ado, both of us remaining largely silent as we do so. Lily isn't the type to appreciate discussion while eating, and I can't say I like it either. Eventually we finish both our meals, and the last of our teacups follows in short order. Lily's the first to break the silence.
That was very nice. I must say you've chosen quite well, Hisao.
This is the first time I've really had that much of a look around the city, so all I can really do is choose somewhere that looked nice. Damn, sorry. I feel really bad for inadvertently bringing up the subject of sight around Lily, but she doesn't appear to mind much. Quite the opposite. She almost looks amused by my awkward attempt at an apology.
You are thoughtful, Hisao, but sometimes I fear that it gets the better of you. There is no need to change your speech on my account.
Lily truly is pretty comfortable in dealing with her condition. I still hasten to change the subject, as I can't really say that I share her confidence in the matter. Have you lived here for very long? It seems like you have this place pretty much sorted out. She quickly waves her hand in front of her face to dismiss the notion.
It's nothing like that. I've attended Yamaku since the start of high school, but I didn't walk around the city very much because of Kira. My sister picked me up and dropped me off.
Oh, right. You mentioned not living in the dormitories until recently. It's quite a surprise. I just assumed she'd been living here since entering Yamaku at the least, which would give her a few years here.
I've lived with my family for most of my life. Then I was just together with my sister. With my family having moved to Inverness long before, and Akira working longer hours, I ended up having to move.
Inverness? Isn't that somewhere in Scotland?
Oh, did I not tell you? My family currently lives in Scotland, the birthplace of my mother. My father's side is mainly Japanese, though.
Huh. The question of what gave Lily her looks did cross my mind every now and again, but I'd never thought to ask. That answers that, then. To be honest, I'd never have guessed. Considering you have no accent, I'm guessing you were born here?
Full marks. I am thankful for my heritage, though, as without it, I'd likely have not been taught English so early in my life. And what of you, Hisao?
What about me? She gives a moment's thought. She probably should have thought of what to ask me before switching the topic.
I'll go with, what are your plans for the future?
To be honest, I haven't thought much about that recently. After my accident and subsequent months in the hospital, enjoying my life here with you and Hanako has been enough for me. In fact, I don't think I've thought at all about a future for some time now. It seems almost futile.
This is your last year of school. After this, you'll have to fend for yourself one way or the other.
It's not like I don't know that, I just haven't put much thought into it since then. She opens her mouth to continue, but gives a small sigh instead. She seems to have realized that she really doesn't know enough about my situation to go too deeply into this.
Well, We all have our own pace. I just hope you'll take any chance you see.
I understand. I'll think about it. As we walk back out into the city, Lily takes hold of my arm once again.
So, did you get any good ideas for a present?
To be honest, no. I've never been very good at picking them.
As absurd as it sounds, perhaps we should just look around?
Hearing Lily utter those words throws me for a moment. Right. How do we do that?
That's just the reaction I was expecting. It's simple. You can go window shopping and just tell me what is around. If something interesting comes up, then we might get an idea.
Right. I'm still not so sure of this, but I'll take your word for it.
I think we'll manage. Hanako, my sister, and I managed to do it well enough.
With Lily's simplistic and rather optimistic statement, we set off into the shopping district of the city, and I start describing everything I see to Lily. It's hard to think of Hanako going window shopping. She doesn't feel like the type to place much stock in fashion, nor have I noticed her reading magazines or the like. In fact, all I think I've really seen her do as a hobby is read books. There's a houseware shop just ahead. Looks like it's mostly crockery, though.
I can't think that she'd have much of a need for that. And what type of message would that send to her?
Cook more food? That's not such a bad idea, maybe.
Sometimes it's best to leave these things alone, Hisao.
Once again, I get the feeling that Hanako's exploits in the kitchen aren't always successful. Lily must have had to help her with that sometimes. Let's see. Next along is a bookshop. That seems like a good one. She's always reading.
Yes, but there are a few problems with books. I'm not quite sure what she has and hasn't read.
What about a gift card, then?
There's nothing as impersonal as giving someone a gift card. It's like saying, I don't know enough about you to work out what you'd like.
I always thought of it as making sure they got what they wanted.
Giving people gifts is supposed to show them the level of affection you have for them. If you can't decide on a simple gift for them, then how much could you think of them?
Right. No gift cards. Lily seems overly passionate about this, but I can see her point. If you're going to get something for someone, then you should put at least some thought into it. If I want to get something for Hanako that reminds her of us every day, then what good is a gift card? In that case, what did you get Hanako last year?
A porcelain doll. I thought that if she had someone to talk to, it might help her ease her pain. A doll isn't ever going to criticize her after all.
So, should I be looking for a doll shop?
If you could be so kind to keep a lookout for one, I would be grateful.
Sounds good to me, though I wish you'd mentioned it earlier.
But if I did that, then you wouldn't have started thinking for yourself, would you?
Once again, Lily has a point. My brain is currently analyzing every store we pass for gift options. If Lily had mentioned a doll shop to begin with, I wouldn't have thought of anything else. We wander through the city streets, but seem unable to find anything that resembles a doll shop, or anything that I could consider a fitting present. And with that being said, folks, I think we'll stop it here, and stay tuned for Let's Play Katawa Shoujo Part 15, when Hisao and Lily continue searching for Hanako's birthday presents, and we'll see what else happens after that. Anyways, see you then, peoples!